Marcus froze at the doorway, his breath catching as he stared at the man standing on his porch. Elon Musk, the billionaire whose name was synonymous with innovation and success, smiled warmly, his presence larger than life. Behind him, a gleaming Cybertruck was parked in the dusty driveway, its futuristic lines starkly out of place against the humble backdrop of Marcus's small family home. "Are you Marcus?" Elon asked, extending a hand. Yeah," Marcus stammered, struggling to process what was happening. Elon's grin widened. "I've heard a lot about you from my mom." Marcus's heart pounded. His mind raced back to the moment it all began, an ordinary day on a quiet street when he made a choice that changed everything. The late afternoon sun bathed the suburban street in golden light, casting long shadows across the quiet road. Marcus pedaled his old, battered bike home after another grueling day at the hardware store. His work shirt was stained, and his arms ached from lifting heavy supplies. At just 21, Marcus juggled 2 part-time jobs to help his single mother pay the bills and support his younger brother, Theo. His dream of becoming a mechanical engineer felt like a distant star, beautiful to look at, but impossible to touch. As he turned the corner onto Elm Street, something unusual caught his eye. A sleek Tesla Cybertruck parked awkwardly on the roadside, one of its massive tires visibly flat. Beside it stood an older woman, elegantly dressed, glancing at her phone with a look of quiet frustration. Marcus slowed his bike. He could feel the exhaustion in his legs urging him to keep riding. Someone else would stop, wouldn't they? But his mother's voice echoed in his mind. "Kindness always comes back, Marcus, even when no one's watching." With a sigh, he pulled over, setting his bike on its kickstand. "Excuse me, ma'am," he called, approaching cautiously. "Do you need some help?" The woman's face lit up with relief. "Oh, thank goodness. Yes, I think I have a flat tire, but I've never dealt with one before." Marcus crouched down, examining the tire. It was punctured, but nothing too severe. He glanced back at the woman, whose polished demeanor suggested she wasn't used to roadside repairs. "Don't worry," Marcus said with a reassuring smile. "I can patch it up for now, but you'll want to have it checked out later." The woman watched curiously as Marcus retrieved a small toolkit from the bag strapped to his bike. His hands moved with practiced ease, the result of years spent fixing old appliances and bikes for his neighbors. As he worked, they struck up a conversation. "What's your name?" she asked. "Marcus," he replied, tightening a bolt. "I'm from around here." "And do you do this often? Helping strangers, I mean?" Marcus chuckled softly. "Not exactly. I work at the hardware store down the street. This is just something I picked up from fixing bikes. I guess I like figuring out how things work." The woman's interest deepened. "Is that what you'd like to do? Fix things?" Marcus paused, his gaze momentarily distant. "I want to be an engineer someday. Build machines that make life easier for people. But college is expensive, and my family needs me right now. So for now, I just take things one day at a time." The woman's expression softened. "That's admirable," she said quietly. A few moments later, Marcus stood, brushing the dirt from his hands. "There you go," he said, gesturing to the repaired tire. "It should hold until you get to a shop." The woman reached into her purse, pulling out a crisp bill. "Please, take this. It's the least I can do." Marcus shook his head firmly. "Thank you, ma'am, but I can't take that. I didn't stop to get paid, I just wanted to help." The woman hesitated, then tucked the money back into her bag with a smile. "You're a rare kind of person, Marcus." "Thank you. The world needs more people like you." Marcus gave her a modest nod, picking up his bike and preparing to leave. "Take care, ma'am," he said as he pedaled away, unaware that the encounter was far from over. As the Cybertruck rolled away, the woman made a call. On the other end of the line was her son, Elon Musk. "You won't believe the young man I just met," she began, her voice brimming with excitement. And with that, the wheels of fate began to turn. As the Cybertruck pulled into her driveway, May Musk couldn't stop thinking about Marcus. His humility, his kind heart, and his relentless determination to dream despite his circumstances, it all struck a chord with her. She sat in her car for a moment, reflecting on the encounter, before picking up her phone. The call connected, and a familiar voice answered on the other end. "Hi, Mom," Elon Musk said warmly. "What's up?" "Well," she began with a chuckle, "I had quite the adventure today. My Cybertruck had a flat tire." "Are you okay?" Elon asked, concern creeping into his voice. Yes, I'm fine," she reassured him. "But that's not the point. A young man stopped to help me. No hesitation, no questions, just kindness." Elon was silent for a moment. "That's rare these days," he finally said. "Who is he?" "That's what I want to tell you about," May continued, her voice brimming with excitement. "His name is Marcus. He's 21, works 2 jobs to support his family, and dreams of becoming an engineer. But he doesn't think he'll ever afford college. Elon, you should have seen him, smart, resourceful, and so humble. He reminded me of you when you were his age." Elon leaned back in his chair, her words stirring something deep within him. "Mom, it sounds like this kid deserves a break." "I thought so too," May said. "I wish I had his contact information, but all I have is his name and the street where we met." "Don't worry," Elon said with determination. "We'll find him." The next morning, Elon's team sprang into action. Using the location May had provided, they reviewed traffic camera footage, sifted through local social media posts, and reached out to community groups in the area. Meanwhile, Marcus was oblivious to the search. His life continued as usual, working at the hardware store during the day, repairing neighbors' appliances in the evenings, and helping his younger brother with homework at night. But as the days passed, whispers began to spread through the neighborhood. People had noticed the unusual activity, unfamiliar cars cruising the streets, strangers asking about a young man who had helped an older woman. "Who's looking for me?" Marcus asked one of his neighbors, scratching his head in confusion. "I don't know," the neighbor replied, shrugging. "But they seem serious." Finally, after 3 days of searching, Elon's team found Marcus's address. When Elon received the news, he smiled, already picturing the look on Marcus's face. "That kid has no idea what's coming," he said, his voice filled with anticipation. It was a quiet evening when the knock came at Marcus's door. He had just finished fixing a toaster for a neighbor and was washing his hands in the kitchen. "I'll get it," Marcus called to his mother. As he opened the door, his heart nearly stopped. Standing there, larger than life, was Elon Musk. Behind him, a Cybertruck idled in the driveway, its headlights casting an ethereal glow in the twilight. Marcus blinked, certain he was dreaming. Can I help you?" Elon smiled and extended a hand. "Are you Marcus?" Yeah, Marcus stammered, shaking his hand cautiously. "My mom told me about you," Elon said, "and I wanted to meet you in person." Marcus's mother, hearing voices, appeared in the doorway. Her eyes widened in shock. "Is that Elon Musk?" she whispered, clutching the doorframe for support. "Yes, ma'am," Elon said with a friendly nod. "I came here to thank your son." Once inside, Elon sat down with Marcus and his family in their modest living room. He listened as Marcus shared his story, how he worked tirelessly to support his mother and brother, how he loved tinkering with machines, and how his dream of becoming an engineer felt impossibly far away. "I just want to build things that make life better for people," Marcus said, his voice tinged with both hope and resignation. "But college is expensive, and there's always something else to pay for." Elon nodded thoughtfully. "You remind me of myself at your age," he said, "ambitious, hard-working, and curious about the world." Then, with a smile, Elon added, "I think someone like you deserves a chance to see what they're capable of." And with those words, Marcus's life took a turn he never could have imagined. Marcus sat frozen in his chair, staring at Elon Musk, the man he'd only seen on TV or in news articles. His words hung in the air like an electric charge. "You deserve a chance to see what you're capable of." "Mr. Musk," Marcus began, his voice barely above a whisper, "I don't even know what to say." "You don't have to say anything," Elon replied, leaning forward. but I'd like to start by thanking you for helping my mom when no one else did. That says a lot about who you are. Marcus's mother, sitting nearby with tears in her eyes, nodded. He's always been like that. He doesn't think twice about helping people. Elon turned to her and smiled. Well, ma'am, you've raised quite a young man. He shifted his gaze back to Marcus. And I'd like to do something to help you too. From a leather folder resting on the coffee table, Elon pulled out a set of papers and placed them in front of Marcus. This, he said, is a full scholarship to any engineering program you choose. Stanford, MIT, Caltech, wherever you want to go. It's all covered. Marcus blinked, staring at the papers as if they might vanish if he looked away. You're serious? He finally managed to ask. Completely, Elon replied. You've got the talent, Marcus. And more importantly, you've got the heart. The world needs engineers like you. The room fell silent as Marcus tried to process what was happening. His younger brother, Theo, broke the quiet with an excited whoop. Marcus, you're going to college, he shouted, his face glowing with pride. Their mother reached over and placed a hand on Marcus's shoulder. You've worked so hard for this, she said, her voice thick with emotion. It's finally happening. Elon grinned, clearly enjoying the moment. But that's not all, he said, motioning toward the driveway. I've got something else for you. Marcus followed Elon outside, his family trailing behind him. Parked next to Elon's Cybertruck was another one, brand new, gleaming under the porch light. Marcus's eyes widened as he turned to Elon. Wait, is this for me? He asked, his voice trembling. Elon nodded. It's yours. My mom told me how you patched her tire with nothing but a few tools and determination. I thought you'd appreciate something a little more advanced to work on. Marcus took a hesitant step toward the truck, running his hand along its sleek surface. I don't even have my license yet, he admitted with a sheepish laugh. Then that's step one, Elon said with a chuckle. We'll cover the cost of driving lessons and your test. Consider it part of the package. For Marcus, it was too much. He turned to Elon, his voice shaking with gratitude. I don't know how to thank you for this. You've already done more than I could have ever dreamed. You've already done enough, Elon said, placing a hand on Marcus's shoulder. Kindness like yours isn't as common as it should be. This is just my way of making sure it comes back around. As the Musk family drove away that night, Marcus stood in his driveway, staring at the Cybertruck and the scholarship papers still clutched in his hands. For the first time in years, his dreams felt within reach. And yet, this was only the beginning of a journey he couldn't yet imagine. The following weeks were a whirlwind. Marcus began driving lessons, quickly mastering the skills needed to pass his test. When he finally got behind the wheel of his new Cybertruck, it was a surreal experience. The sleek, futuristic vehicle felt like a spaceship compared to the creaky bike he'd been riding just weeks earlier. Soon after, Marcus made his first visit to Stanford University. Walking across the sprawling campus, he felt a mix of awe and nervousness. This was a world far removed from the modest neighborhood he'd grown up in, but he reminded himself why he was there, to build a future not just for himself, but for his family and community. Classes were challenging, but Marcus thrived. His professors were impressed by his ingenuity and work ethic, often commenting on his ability to think outside the box. His classmates, many of whom came from privileged backgrounds, were drawn to his humility and grit. During a visit to Tesla's headquarters, Elon personally introduced Marcus to the engineering team. They showed him projects that felt like something out of science fiction: autonomous robots, cutting-edge renewable energy systems, and vehicles designed to explore Mars. Marcus soaked it all in, his mind racing with possibilities. You belong here, Elon said, watching Marcus examine a prototype with wide-eyed fascination. Never doubt that. As the months turned into years, Marcus's life transformed. He excelled in his studies, eventually earning an internship at Tesla, where he worked on advanced robotics. But through it all, he never forgot where he came from. Back in his hometown, Marcus started a robotics program at the community center. He used his resources to refurbish old computers, donating them to local schools. He became a mentor to kids who, like him, had big dreams but few opportunities. "You've shown us what's possible," one young boy told him during a robotics workshop. "I want to be like you someday." Marcus smiled, remembering the day he stopped to help a stranger on the side of the road. "You can be," he said. "Just start with kindness. The rest will follow." Years later, Marcus stood on a stage at a Tesla conference, unveiling his first major invention, a renewable energy device designed to provide affordable electricity to low-income communities. The crowd erupted in applause, and in the front row, Elon Musk watched with pride. In his closing remarks, Marcus looked out at the audience, his voice steady and confident. "This journey began with a flat tire," he said, eliciting a ripple of laughter. "But what it really started with was a choice to help someone, even when I didn't have much to give. That act of kindness changed my life, and I hope it inspires you to believe in the power of your own actions." The applause that followed was deafening, but Marcus's thoughts drifted to the quiet suburban street where it had all begun. His mother's words echoed in his mind, "Kindness always comes back around," and for Marcus, it always would. The applause at the Tesla conference still echoed in Marcus's mind as he stepped down from the stage. The renewable energy device he had unveiled wasn't just a technological marvel, it was a symbol of his journey. A testament to how far he had come from that quiet street where he had once helped a stranded stranger. Backstage, Elon Musk approached him with a proud smile. "You've outdone yourself, Marcus," he said, clapping him on the shoulder. "This is exactly the kind of innovation the world needs." "Thank you, Mr. Musk," Marcus replied, his voice steady but filled with gratitude. "I couldn't have done any of this without your support and your mother's kindness." Elon nodded thoughtfully. "It wasn't just about the support. You took the opportunities and made them your own. That's all you." Marcus smiled but said nothing, his thoughts already shifting to the future. He knew this was only the beginning. Back in his hometown, Marcus's success had become a beacon of hope. Kids who once saw engineering and innovation as distant dreams now saw them as tangible possibilities. Marcus launched a foundation dedicated to providing STEM, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics resources to underprivileged communities. The program started small robotics kits and refurbished laptops donated to local schools, but quickly grew into something much larger. One of the first major projects was a fully equipped mobile STEM lab. Housed in a repurposed bus, the lab traveled to rural and urban areas, bringing hands-on learning experiences to kids who lacked access to proper facilities. Marcus often joined the team himself, sharing his story and working side by side with the students. During one workshop, a shy 10-year-old girl named Aisha approached him. She held a small robot she had built during the session, her eyes wide with excitement. "Mr. Marcus," she said quietly, "do you think I could be an engineer someday?" Marcus knelt down to meet her gaze, his voice steady and encouraging. "Aisha, not only can you be an engineer, but you can be one of the best. Just keep building, keep learning, and never stop believing in yourself." Moments like these reminded Marcus why he worked so hard. It wasn't just about creating technology, it was about creating opportunities for others to follow in his footsteps. As the years went on, Marcus's work gained global attention. His renewable energy device, which started as a prototype, was now being installed in low-income neighborhoods across the country. Families who once struggled with high electricity bills could now power their homes affordably and sustainably. Governments and non-profits began partnering with Marcus's foundation, amplifying its reach. By his early 30s, Marcus was not just an engineer, but a leader in the global movement for accessible technology. During a televised interview, a journalist asked him, "Marcus, you've achieved so much in such a short time. What drives you to keep going?" Marcus paused, reflecting on the question. "It's simple," he said. "I know what it's like to feel like your dreams are out of reach. I want to make sure that no one else has to feel that way. If I can help even one person see their potential, then everything I do is worth it." Despite his growing fame, Marcus never forgot where it all started. Every year, on the anniversary of the day he helped May Musk with her flat tire, he would visit the exact spot on Elm Street. Sometimes he went alone, other times with his family or a small group of mentees from his foundation. One year he invited May to join him. The two stood together by the roadside, reflecting on how that small moment had changed both their lives. "You know," May said with a smile, "when you pedaled away that day, I never imagined I'd see you again, but I had a feeling you were destined for something great." Marcus chuckled. "I didn't think much of it at the time either. I just wanted to help. But looking back, I realized that moment taught me something important. Sometimes, the simplest acts of kindness can have the most extraordinary impact." Marcus's story became a global phenomenon, inspiring people from all walks of life. Social media was flooded with stories of individuals performing small acts of kindness. Using the hashtag #KindnessRipple, a campaign started by Marcus's foundation to encourage others to pay it forward. At schools, offices, and community centers, people shared how Marcus's journey had motivated them to take action. A teacher in Chicago began offering free coding classes for her students. A retired mechanic in Texas started a program to teach young people how to repair cars. The ripple effect was undeniable. One day, Marcus received an email from a boy in Kenya. The message read, "Dear Mr. Marcus, my name is Joseph and I am 16 years old. I heard your story and decided to build a solar-powered water pump for my village. Now we have clean water for the first time in years. Thank you for showing me that one idea can change everything." Marcus read the email twice, tears welling in his eyes. He replied immediately, offering to fund Joseph's project and connect him with resources to expand his work. For Marcus, this was the ultimate reward, seeing others take what he had started and run with it. At a global summit on renewable energy years later, Marcus was invited as the keynote speaker. As he stood before an audience of thousands, his mind flashed back to his humble beginnings, the small home he shared with his family, the old bike he rode to work, and the flat tire that started it all. "People often ask me what the most important moment of my life was," Marcus began. "They expect me to say it was the day I met Elon Musk or the day I unveiled my first invention. But honestly, the most important moment was the day I decided to stop and help someone in need. That single choice changed my life forever." The audience erupted into applause, but Marcus raised a hand to quiet them. "And here's the truth. Every one of us has the power to create those moments, not just for ourselves, but for others. Kindness is the spark that lights the fire of change." As he left the stage, Elon Musk, now a longtime mentor and friend, approached him. "You've come a long way, Marcus," he said with a smile. Marcus grinned. "Thanks to you and your mom." Elon laughed. "She'll never let me forget that." The two shared a moment of mutual respect before parting ways. For Marcus, the journey was far from over. But no matter where life took him, he carried with him the lesson that had shaped his path. Kindness always comes back around. Years after Marcus's first breakthrough at Tesla, his name had become synonymous with innovation and empathy. His renewable energy device had reached millions, transforming lives in communities that once struggled with access to basic resources. Yet, for Marcus, the true success lay not in the scale of his work, but in its impact on individuals. One such individual was a 14-year-old boy named Luis from a small town in Brazil. Inspired by Marcus's story, Luis began building small wind turbines using scrap materials to provide electricity for his neighborhood. Through the hashtag #KindnessRipple initiative, Luis's project caught the attention of Marcus's foundation, which immediately stepped in to support the young inventor. During a video call with Luis, Marcus couldn't help but see a reflection of himself in the boy's determination and ingenuity. "Luis," Marcus said with a smile, "you're proof that the ripple effect is real. Keep going. You're going to change the world." The Kindness Ripple initiative continued to grow, becoming a movement that transcended borders. Stories poured in from every corner of the globe. A teacher in India, who used recycled materials to create science kits for her students, a farmer in Nigeria who built a solar-powered irrigation system for his village, and a group of teenagers in the United States who started a free coding club for underprivileged kids. At an international conference on social innovation, Marcus shared the stage with some of these individuals. Each of them recounted how a single act of kindness had set them on a path of transformation, and how Marcus's story had inspired them to take the first step. "Kindness isn't just an action," Marcus said during his closing remarks. "It's a chain reaction, and the beautiful thing is anyone can start it." The crowd erupted in applause, a testament to the universal appeal of his message. One quiet afternoon, Marcus found himself back on Elm Street, the place where it all began. He parked his Cybertruck at the exact spot where he had first stopped to help Elon Musk years ago. This time, he wasn't alone. A small group of mentees from his foundation stood with him, listening as he recounted the story of that fateful day. "I didn't know who she was," Marcus said, a nostalgic smile on his face. "I just knew she needed help." That's the thing about kindness. It doesn't ask for anything in return, but it has a way of coming back to you. One of the kids, a teenager named Eva, raised her hand. "Do you ever think about what would have happened if you hadn't stopped that day?" Marcus nodded. "All the time. And that's why I'm here now, to remind myself and you that every decision matters. Every moment has the potential to change not just your life, but the lives of others." As Marcus stood on the roadside, watching the sun dip below the horizon, he thought about the journey ahead. His work was far from finished. There were still communities to empower, technologies to develop, and lives to touch. Back at his foundation's headquarters, plans were already in motion for the next big project, a global network of solar-powered learning hubs, designed to provide education and resources to the most remote corners of the world. Marcus envisioned these hubs as beacons of hope, places where children could dream as boldly as he once had. When asked during an interview what he hoped his legacy would be, Marcus paused thoughtfully before answering. "I don't want my legacy to be about what I built or achieved," he said. "I want it to be about what I inspired others to do. Because at the end of the day, the greatest impact we can have is the one that keeps growing long after we're gone." The story of Marcus had reached millions, inspiring countless acts of kindness and innovation. But Marcus knew that the real power of his journey lay in its ability to spark change in others. As his story spread, a simple yet profound question was posed to audiences around the globe. If one act of kindness can change a life, what could your kindness do? What ripple will you start today? As the credits rolled on Marcus's journey, one thing became clear: his story wasn't over. It was being written every day, in the actions of those he inspired, in the dreams of kids who dared to believe, and in the quiet moments when someone chose kindness over indifference. And so, Marcus's story continues, not just as a tale of success, but as a living testament to the power of kindness to transform the world.